In the high-octane world of Formula One, victory is measured in milliseconds. But the secret weapon that separates the podium from the rest of the pack, it isn't just horsepower or pure driver skill anymore. It's data. And the amount of data we're talking about is just staggering.
Take a look at this number, 1.1 million. Let that sink in for a second. That's how many telemetry data points a single Formula One car generates and sends back to its team every single second. It's a torrent of information, and it's become the absolute lifeblood of the sport.
You really have to stop thinking of these cars as just, well, cars. They're more like rolling supercomputers. I mean, each one has over 300 sensors constantly monitoring literally everything. All of that adds up to about 160 terabytes of data over a single race weekend. And all of that is being processed in real time and cross-referenced against a massive library of more than 70 years of race data. It is a full-blown data explosion.
Now, at the heart of all this is a concept called telemetry. It's actually a pretty simple idea when you break it down. It comes from the Greek for remote measurement. Basically, it's the car's voice. It's speaking directly to the team in the pits, telling them exactly what's happening, second by second. We're talking everything from brake temperature to the G-forces the driver is pulling.
But that, of course, brings up the billion-dollar question. With this constant stream of information, this digital noise, how on earth do you find the signal? How do you take all of this raw data and turn it into a winning strategy? Well, that's where the partnership with Amazon Web Services really comes into play.
So, let's just take a moment to really grasp the scale of this challenge. F1 teams are facing a genuine data tsunami every weekend, and the goal is to surf that wave and find that one tiny insight that can completely change the outcome of a race.
So where does all this data go first? Straight to the race strategists on the pit wall. These are the people making those critical, high-pressure calls in the heat of the moment. You know, the decisions that can literally win or lose a championship.
Okay, put yourself in their shoes for a second. Your driver is out front leading the race, but their tires are starting to go. A rival is closing in fast. Do you call your driver into pit now and risk losing that precious track position, or do you tell them to stay out and risk a catastrophic tire failure? It's one of the most intense moments in any race.
And here's the thing, that decision isn't just based on gut instinct anymore. Not even close. Using AWS, teams can now predict the perfect pit stop. Here's how it works. First, they ingest all that live telemetry data we talked about. Tire wear, fuel, pace, you name it. Then, machine learning models running on Amazon SageMaker crunch the numbers, running thousands of different race simulations in seconds. And finally, out comes a clear, data-driven recommendation on the exact optimal lap to make that stop.
And this isn't just theoretical. We literally just saw this in action at the 2024 Canadian Grand Prix. Before qualifying even started, AWS-powered performance analysis showed that a new upgrade on the Mercedes had unlocked some serious potential. That data pointed to their true speed before anyone else on the grid knew about it, and it led to that historic dead heat for pole position. It's a perfect example of data giving a team a real predictive edge.
But this whole data revolution goes way beyond just race day tactics. It's fundamentally changing how the cars themselves are engineered, right from the drawing board.
And the leap in technology here is just staggering. Back in the old days, testing aerodynamics meant building expensive physical models and sticking them in even more expensive and slow wind tunnels. Today, F1 uses AWS to run incredibly complex simulations in the cloud. We're talking 70% faster at a tiny fraction of the cost, which lets the teams test way more designs than they ever could have before. This simulation power had a direct, tangible impact on the quality of the racing we all watch. For the 2022 car regulations, the big goal was to create more exciting wheel-to-wheel action. By using AWS to simulate the messy aerodynamic wake of two cars at once, the so-called dirty air, engineers figured out how to cut the downforce loss from a massive 50% all the way down to just 15%. And the result for us? Cars can follow each other much more closely, which means more overtakes and more exciting races. Simple as that. Okay, so now let's talk about the stakeholder that really matters most. You, the fan, because all of this incredible data, it's not just locked away in the pits. It's being translated and brought right to your screen to make the sport more engaging and, honestly, more understandable than it's ever been.
If you've watched a race anytime recently, you've absolutely seen these F1 Insights graphics pop up. Well, they're all powered by the very same AWS data platform the teams are using, and their whole job is to decode the complexities of the race for you in real time.
Take the battle forecast, for example. It analyzes the live pace of two cars and uses historical data to predict exactly how many laps it'll take for a chasing car to get into striking distance. It just builds the tension for a great on-track battle. Then there's the tire performance graphic. This one shows you the hidden story of the race, the energy and wear on each tire. This is the key that unlocks a team's entire strategy and helps you predict when they might be about to dive into the pits.
One of the newer insights, time lost, is incredible because it makes the invisible visible. It can pinpoint the exact moment a driver makes a tiny mistake, like a late downshift, and then calculate precisely how many tenths of a second it cost them. And finally, the undercut threat graphic. This one decodes one of the most tense strategic chess matches in a race, predicting in real time if a driver who pits early is actually going to succeed in gaining track position on their rival.
All of these insights get created and delivered to the broadcast team through a tool called Track Pulse. It essentially helps the commentators tell these compelling, data-driven stories as they happen, which in turn helps F1 connect with its massive global audience, all 750 million of them.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? This isn't just about sticking some cool graphics on a broadcast. The partnership between F1 and AWS has really driven a complete, holistic transformation of the entire sport.
Think about it. For the teams, it's all about gaining that data-driven competitive edge. For the engineers, it's about designing better, safer, more competitive cars, and doing it faster than ever before. For us fans, it's a richer, more immersive, and frankly, more understandable viewing experience. And for the sport as a whole, it's become a blueprint for innovation and future growth.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. As Formula One's managing director Grandin Snow put it himself, the partnership is absolutely central to F1's strategy for fan engagement and growth. It's about using the power of the cloud to connect with a global audience in totally new ways.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big thought. The lessons from Formula One's incredible data-driven journey, they aren't just confined to the racetrack. They can be applied to pretty much any industry that values speed, precision, and innovation. So, if this much data can so completely re-engineer the fastest sport on the planet, just imagine what it can re-engineer next.